And joining us in our first show, live in studio, it's Drew McGrath. Andrew, I always call you Drew, but I know sometimes you go by Andrew. What do you want the people of Western New York to refer to you as?
Either one is fine. Andrew is my given name, but either one. As long as it's not Andy, I can care less.
All right. Drew's breaking shit already. All right, so Drew's going to come in pretty much weekly. We're going to talk sports with a focus on Buffalo, but a little bit of everything. Obviously, this week, Buffalo sports, the big thing is that the Bandits moved on to the National Lacrosse League Finals again, and now they're off for like a week. I feel like lacrosse is weird.
Yeah, I don't know really how that schedule works or anything too much. And then there was some controversy with the other semi-playoff game or something like that, where it was like they got like 3 penalty shots in a row at the end of the game or something.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was weird. I was reading about it. Yeah.
Interesting. Now, are you a Bandits fan?
Not really. I don't really follow lacrosse or anything
like that.
I
just
a game? Try to keep up with like the score.
You ever been to a game?
No.
They're fun. I went to a couple forever ago, and they are fun. They're it's kind of got the hockey atmosphere, but it's not cold like hockey. But they're high scoring. Although some of the games this year have not been. The Bandits had 2 games in a row where they let in, I think, only 4 and only 3 goals, both of which were like new records. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, so they're off until the 16th, and then they're as of right now, their opponent's not yet set.
Yeah, it was like I went to a couple like Blizzards games back in the day.
All right.
Yeah, so other than like either the Bills or the Sabres or the Bisons, other than that, it was only the Blizzards.
All right. Well, the Bills, I know that you've been really chomping at the bit to get the show started, and you really wanted to get in and talk about the draft. Prior to the draft, we weren't able to make that happen. But, since then the draft has happened, and you've had about a week to think about how we did. What are your thoughts on the Bills draft?
Honestly, I really liked the draft. I thought the pick with Maxwell Harrison was a great pick. He's a zone scheme corner who can play man, but also man press. He's got very good makeup speed as well on the ball. So if he does, he's not great at disguising routes
right
as a corner, but I'm okay with that because he can, if need be, have the makeup speed to cover up that. Eventually, and then with the addition of Trey White getting signed back to us,
right,
he can actually learn from Trey, the system and everything like that, faster now because he's got that veteran presence who already knows everything about the scheme
right,
to help him with those deficiencies that he had.
Now, are these holes that you think we needed filled?
Corner, definitely, because if we remember the divisional, the AFC Championship game and the divisional game, Baltimore in that second half was starting to put it on us, throwing the ball.
Right.
Kansas City has always been able to throw against us. They've always been able to make a certain play when they've needed it.
Right.
From a wide receiver. Now that we can have a possible shutdown corner, and as long as he stays healthy and is not injured or banged up throughout the year, then it can limit some of those opportunities that those other teams would get.
So with the addition of Hairston and White, are there still holes that we have?
No, I think actually because our second-round pick was a defensive tackle who's a rush defensive tackle, getting pressure from the interior line, right up the middle, which was one of Patrick Mahomes' weak spots. In the 2 Super Bowls he had that he lost, Tampa Bay put pressure up the middle, Philly smacked pressure up the middle, and just all game long they did that. And he couldn't step up and move, really.
So I realize it's only May. We've got, several months before we really, really need to think about football. But, dude, it's Western New York and people are thinking about football no matter what. So how's this year look to you?
I don't know how our team's going to be. We did also sign this Elijah Moore guy after Brandon Beane went on the radio and blasted the 2 guys on.
I want to talk about that.
Saying that we didn't need a receiver or anything like that, and just so happens to be then right after the draft, he signed Elijah Moore. But it came out though that Elijah Moore was already here visiting on Saturday during the draft.
Is that a scandal?
No.
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 I don't know what's allowed and what's not.
But but it was just never announced.
Gotcha.
Because then, if it was announced that he would have been doing that, then everybody's going to think that Buffalo's not taking a receiver.
Gotcha.
So also, it's like, you want the element of surprise in the aspect of Buffalo, like, hey, we can choose a receiver that we like if we feel that he's there, not, and keeping that on, back burners. So that's kind of what happened with that. But, yeah, other than that, I think our draft went very well. There's this one guy who I really want to see play. His name is Dion Walker. 2023, his film from his games had a mid to high first round grade.
All right.
Last year played with a back injury. Dropped him all the way down to the round. We got him in 4. So if we can get him back healthy, he's a 6'7", 331, big, bulking guy that can help us stop the run, but also can make plays.
That's a big if,
backfield. So, yeah, back injuries are dangerous, especially for a lineman. And 6'7", he's got to get real low at times. So we'll see how that works. But it's to me though, it was a great opportunity to take a swing. We already have a lot of guys that are already playing on this team and established, and there's really not a lot of spots to make this team with our depth. But if you're going to take a chance, I want it to be on somebody who's got high upside.
Sure.
Instead of a real low floor. It's like, okay, like...
high risk, high reward.
Right.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work out, it's a 4th round pick.
Right.
It's like, you're not investing huge amount of stuff into it.
So I saw last night the Buffalo Bills posted something, Josh Allen reading mean tweets. Did you happen to see it?
No, but I love when I love it. There's a late night show that I think it's the Kimmel.
Yeah, one of them does it. In fact, more than one of them may do it, but they're always fun.
Yeah, and then they're reading it, and they're like, their facial expressions afterwards are hilarious when you see them.
So this is funny because it's Josh Allen reading mean tweets from draft night when he was originally drafted.
Oh, okay.
And they're all pretty typical. The wrong Josh. Why are you doing this to me?
You can't roll.
The very last one says, "Damn it, no! Why can we never get things right?" Now this one really, really tickled me. This is my friend George. I've mentioned my friend George Root,
yes.
who used to write for All Western New York. Passed away of cancer a few years ago, but it was really kind of cool to see the Bills, dust off this old 8-year-old.
So 2018 was his draft.
Yeah, so 7-year-old tweet from my friend George, who's been gone a while. It was kind of cool to see. I'm sure that George would be happy to know that he was wrong, as he was frequently. It was one of he was like you in that way, wrong
great.
a lot.
Thanks.
You're welcome. So this past weekend was the Micah Hyde charity game, and I know we've gone to that in the past. I didn't get a chance to go this year, but I understand that Keon Coleman did amazing things.
Well, so Keon actually has a baseball background.
All right.
Yeah. With basketball as well.
Was it last year that we went?
Yeah, we went last year.
And Allen just kept hitting dingers, ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, in the home run derby. Yeah. It was great. Yeah, that was nuts. And he actually put the most impressive one I thought was when he actually put it, because they have that makeshift fence in the outfield.
Right.
When we were there watching it. He actually put it over the actual fence.
Right.
I was like, that's a shot.
Well, and it's funny because so we're there, watching the game, and then they've got the highlights later, and the Bills post the highlights, and it's just Allen, hitting home run after home run after home run, including some that go over the actual fence. And all these people are like, "Oh, I could do that," and it's like, dude, no, you couldn't. I think that people's delusion is hilarious, and the hatred that people have for strangers is just, cause most of the I could do that. I'm pretty sure we're from Kansas City, and I don't know why, you have to hate any other team's quarterback. Everybody here hated Brady. I was always okay with Brady. I think most people here hate Mahomes. I am mostly okay with Mahomes, although he is kind of whiny. But
that was my thing with Brady.
That he was whiny?
Yeah,
it worked though.
It did. And he also was 30-3 against Buffalo. So,
yeah.
That also kind of pissed me off too. It was like, all right, I hate this dude.
Yeah.
Because we could never beat. It was we could never beat him. Mahomes, we actually could beat Mahomes.
Right.
It's just not at the right point.
Exactly. So All right, so we got Brady, we got Mahomes, GOAT quarterbacks. Why was Peyton Manning in Buffalo this weekend?
I have no idea. I didn't even hear about this.
Yeah, Peyton Manning was apparently in Buffalo this past weekend, and
Really?
I have no idea why.
Was maybe for something having to do with like a charity golf event or something?
I do know there was like a big Bills Mafia event this past weekend too, like celebrating the birth of the Bills Mafia with Adam Schefter and all the people that were around when it first started.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So I don't know if it had anything to do with that, but I did see that the Bills posted something about Peyton being here. I was like, all right, that's kind of cool. Buffalo seems to be a destination now, unless you're in hockey.
Yeah, hockey, don't get started with that. But yeah, I don't know. It's like, okay, so this was a known fact. Throughout the 90s, San Francisco and the 49ers and the Bills had the two best records collectively throughout the 90s.
Sure.
Okay? Right now, since this decade, since 2020, it's Buffalo and Kansas City. Kansas City is number one, Buffalo number two.
Right.
San Francisco was number one, Buffalo was number two. And in that time, we went.
So that's crazy, though.
We went to 4 Super Bowls.
It's crazy, though, that number one and number two would both be AFC teams. I feel like that statistically is unlikely.
Right. Normally, you would see one real dominant NFC team and one real dominant AFC team. But no, it's been like Buffalo and Kansas City. And Kansas City, I think it's like 5 wins above Buffalo in that stretch.
Right.
So over the last 5 years, basically averaging one more win than Buffalo.
Right.
So, like, really, are we really that far off from Kansas City? No.
Is this the year? If it's not the year, is there going to be a year?
Okay.
That's my big concern is that I keep feeling like, so last year coming into the season, I didn't think we were going to have a good year. And obviously we did. But now I'm afraid that, all right, maybe last year was the year.
See, no, because I remember we did that when we faced Kansas City in the AFC Championship game when we had Diggs that first year. Everybody was like, maybe that was our year. And then the year after that, and then a couple years after that, we were still very, very good. So my thing is, this year I thought we could have went 10-7, 11-6. Still good enough to win our division,
right.
But I didn't expect 12 or 13 wins.
Right.
We had 13. But it's a different offense, but it's a more complete offense because we're actually using running backs.
Right.
Speaking of using running backs, except for the last 9 minutes and 32 seconds of the AFC Championship game, somehow we forgot that we had a running back and didn't use it. When he put us that third quarter and into the early fourth quarter, James Cook actually put us in the game, back in the game, kept up with Kansas City, and gave us the lead. And then this happens, we stopped using it. And okay, so that Super Bowl.
Drew and I both have issues with coaching, by the way. We'll just put that out there.
So the first year that I actually started watching football was the Bills-Giants Super Bowl year. And if I remember,
Super Bowl 25.
Yeah, so it was Super Bowl 25. I think it was the 1990-1991 Super Bowl. 90 season.
Right.
Well, if you remember, I don't know if you actually remember this. I actually vividly remember this. First half of that game, that Super Bowl 25, Thurman Thomas had 13 touches for 156 yards. Had 2 touches the whole second half.
Right.
And we lost. And we were this AFC Championship game reminded me of that as when you and I were watching it. I'm like, thinking in my head, Super Bowl 25 all over again. Super Bowl 25 all over again.
But without Whitney.
Right. That was the only good part about that Super Bowl. Still the greatest national anthem of all time.
All right, so I know I'm bouncing all over the place, and I apologize, but I have all these things in my head that I want to get them out. You were talking about the Bills and the 49ers in the 90s had the best records, and, now it's the Bills and the Chiefs. I saw an interesting stat yesterday. I want to say it's over the past 10 seasons, Josh Allen is 6th in rushing.
He hasn't even played 10 years.
And that was the point. that was the point of the thing. That was that over the course of the past 10 seasons, Josh Allen is 6th in rushing despite not playing 3 of those years and being a quarterback.
Yeah. And, okay, so he got drafted in 2018. So he's completed 7 seasons. Okay, so he's about to go on his 8th season, and he already leads Buffalo Bills in rushing touchdowns. All time. Dude's a freaking quarterback.
Yeah.
So, like, what's going on here? And we had O.J. Simpson and Thurman Thomas.
Right.
2 guys in the Hall of Fame, and yet he still has more rushing touchdowns than them. Please explain this to me. Like, I don't get that. Like,
in all fairness, a lot of those rushing touchdowns are 1, 2, 3 yards.
Sure, but also, right, and I get it, that the game has evolved and it's more of a throwing game and all that type of stuff. But when people say that too, all I have to do is say Jerry Rice.
Right.
And then that argument's out the window. So he put up 22,000 yards in his career, and he started playing in the 80s, like 85. He started playing heavy running in the 80s, and in early 90s was heavy running areas.
All right, so football is your number 1 sport, right?
Football and baseball, yeah.
Are they tied, or is it 1-2?
Well,
I know you played. I know you played both in high school.
In interest?
And if you tell me you're an athlete, I am literally going to stab you. So I don't want to hear the athlete line, but I do know that you played in high school. Which one of the 2 was your go-to?
Are you asking which one was I better at, or just like interest-wise?
I guess more interest-wise.
Okay, so I've always been more interested in football. It just so happened to be I was really good in baseball.
Right.
I believe now I was more talented in football, but because of my knee injury that I had, it was kind of harder to get back in football, where it was a little bit easier to get back in baseball. So baseball for me ended up being longer.
Much lower contact sport.
Right. Right.
But 162 games a year.
But baseball, well, so I was playing school, travel, and also league ball. So it was still that wear and tear of every day, basically. I did have that tryout, in baseball. But other than baseball was like my second favorite sport.
All right, so from top to bottom, we've got football, then baseball, then
I would say basketball.
All right.
And then everything else after that.
All right.
It was all like basically blended in a tight of 4.
Not really a hockey fan.
And I really never got into hockey. I've been to games. And
Hockey's always been my number 1.
Okay, yeah. Hockey's, but because I never really played it, I really never had any real interest in it.
Right.
Really. So.
Have you been watching the playoffs?
No, but I do have seen.
Dude, there's nothing like Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah, you say that, and we've had this debate or discussion. To me, though, teams win series. So better teams normally do tend to win. Obviously, you make
it a best out of 7, and you're more likely to get the better team.
Right.
There's less chance for luck. Not that it doesn't happen, but there's less chance for luck.
Yeah, and then to me, football is actually the best in playoff format because it's do or die. You have to have it. So it's like a game 7 every single game.
I get that. I guess the thing that I don't like about that as much is that, you get a team that just has an off game, and they may have been the 72 Dolphins. They may have been the best team, in the history of the NFL, but, somebody stubs their toe on the way into the game, and suddenly you don't have a running back, and you're done.
Right.
That's the thing that I guess I don't like about that, is you don't necessarily get the best team. Whereas I feel like in hockey, you're more likely to.
Right. Hockey, baseball, basketball, you have that propensity to have the best team. That I would say 80 to 90% of the time that the best team wins. But with football, it turns out to be though. A lot of times it is the best team that actually wins. It's just. Like Washington, I don't think Washington was a very good team this year. They just had a special player in Jaden Daniels who allowed them and carried them to.
And he is special.
Game. So, but their team wasn't really that good.
Right.
So it can work out like that as well. But it's the pressure of playoff football, and the fact is, Like, if you don't try to play your best that whole time and for 60 minutes, that's it. And a lot of teams, it's hard to, like, keep on getting to where Buffalo or Kansas City get to every year.
Right.
People don't realize the drain it does. And now you're playing these extra games in a very high collision impact with contact sport. Your body human bodies are not meant to be sustaining that much impact.
So I was never an athlete per se. I played hockey. I played some tennis.
What you call playing or
I literally have a knife.
That's okay.
Anyway, so I wasn't what you would call an athlete. But I do know that when I was younger, in my teens and early 20s, I could do anything. And now I'm 50, and I hurt my neck sleeping the other day. I woke up and I was in pain, and I think maybe I had a dream about hurting my neck, and so it hurt in real life.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure that you've noticed I've got this cough. It's been a persistent cough for the last week, and I've been to the doctor and I've taken the medicine, and they tell me I'm getting better, but still sick. And
yeah, you sound kind of funny too.
It's just it's difficult when you get older healing like you used to.
Yeah, and so imagine these guys that are in their primes of their lives, who are pretty well conditioned and train and work out with weights and all that type of stuff, the beating that they take, and then there's still times that they can't even play a next game, and it's a week later.
Right.
Where you got football or baseball, you got 162 games, and you're pretty much playing every
6
other
days
day.
a week. Yeah.
You're playing pretty much every other day in the playoffs when it comes to that. Basketball, same thing, pretty much every other day. Hockey, pretty much every other day. Now, to me though, in physicality of sports and everything like that, it's football and then hockey.
Yeah, I would agree. I would certainly agree.
But I would say hockey is probably because you could have these long careers like Gretzky. We just watched Ovechkin break the record,
right?
And he's been playing 19 plus years in the league. I think he's like 41 now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I am inclined to think that if the Caps win the Cup this year, that he retires.
He should, yeah, because there's nothing else to accomplish.
Right.
He's already got the one Stanley Cup. He's got the record for goals now. Right. Yeah, it would be a great way to cap it off.
Yeah.
And my thing is if they lost, what is their propensity or the need to come back even regardless?
Right.
What's the point at that?
Yeah.
Just to even make it even that goals record even bigger. Okay,
right.
Whatever. And that was those now I get it though. He could be like a Tom Brady and just love playing.
So yes or no? So but back to Brady. I appreciate Tom Brady's ability, but he was always cocky. And the one thing that really drove me nuts about Brady is at the very end of his career, it was over. It was over. He had the kids. He had the supermodel wife. He had the contract with Fox or whatever. All he had to do was say, okay, I'm done. And his ego wouldn't let him do it. And as a result of that, his supermodel wife, Gisele Bundchen, was like, I'm taking the kids and we're out. And so I cannot fathom how that could have been worth it for him.
Actually, what happened, I guess, because he chose to do football that exact last year, that something happened. There was a huge dispute between them, and then she ended up messing with the pool boy or the gardener type.
Good
of
for
thing.
him.
And it was but I get the drive and the passion he had. And everything like that.
I get it to an extent, but
right. But now it just costs you your family.
Exactly, and
right.
I can't fathom how that could. You got 7 Super Bowl rings,
right? So he
120 MVP awards,
that just made 7, right? And the 6th one the 7th one kind of bothered me because it's everybody knows Jordan has 6 titles,
right?
he said that he wanted to beat Jordan. His only focus was to beat Jordan. So then, okay, if that was your only
that in and
focus,
of itself is weird too.
But right, number one, it's not even the same sport.
Right.
But everybody still refers to Jordan as the greatest.
Right.
Okay. So now you got 7. What was playing that extra year? You got 7 the year before. What
right.
It was like stuff like that. It's like it's more ego and everything like that. So like, hey, I just came off of a Super Bowl, a winning quarterback. I still got it and everything like that. Let's re-up my deal one more time. Finish out this 2-year deal, everything, and okay, great.
Yeah. All right, backing up.
Oh, hey, just got breaking news.
What's that?
Kicker Justin Tucker released by the Ravens in what they call a football decision, being accused of inappropriate behavior by 16 massage therapists. So Justin Tucker, probably one of the greatest kickers in the NFL history, released by the Ravens, who drafted a kicker in the draft.
Well, good for them. That was fortuitous of them. Speaking of the draft, the Bills, as you already said, had a pretty decent draft. Brandon Beane thought that the Bills had a pretty decent draft. But apparently the guys at WGR didn't think that the Bills had a decent draft, and Beane went on and just unloaded on them, which was, it was kind of weird, it was kind of awkward, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, I get it. What were your thoughts?
The points he was making, I got, and I understood it. He said that he was listening to, before that rant, that he was listening to a few more minutes before that. Like,
right.
Up to like 5 minutes before that, he said, or something like that. And then, it's like, okay, I get, and, you know, obviously he's going to defend himself and defend, like, the reason, the choices that he makes and everything like that. Okay. But also your track record hasn't been that good. You've had more misses in the early rounds than you have impact players. Yeah, you've been fortunate and lucky to have. We've had Milano in the a 5th round pick, do very well. Christian Bedford, our starting corner, 6th round pick. Yeah, we've had guys like that
right.
have hit great. But overall, we've had 1st round picks didn't work out. Kyer Elam, 1st round pick, who was a pure man corner who we tried to force to play his zone, didn't work out. He was lost. Didn't know what he was doing. We traded him to Dallas. We got a 7th round pick. So, like...
1st round for 7th round, not a very good trade.
Right. Well, this shows that, like, you know, you missed.
Right.
Either that or, like, you're drafting players that, you know, are not fitting what you're trying to do, and you're trying to force them to do that. You're not supposed to make the player fit the scheme. You're supposed to make the scheme fit the players. That's why coaches like Andy Reid and Belichick, when they all the times they're winning, are that philosophy. Yeah, we have this principle that we want to use, but we make our schemes fit the players we got. We can't make somebody do something they can't do.
Right. I guess the thing for me was that it was just very atypical of a front office, you know, athletic employee to come in with that sort of attitude.
Yeah.
Usually they're very reserved, they're jovial, they joke around a little bit.
It seemed like he was a little classless at that when how he started it.
Like he had just had a bad day and decided to take it out on WGR.
Right, it was kind of classless, and it was in the aspect of like do I even want to be doing this interview? It's like,
right.
Kind of like that smug attitude, like I'm better than this. I don't need to be here, kind of thing. It was like, And then he went off on that rant, which I understand. You know, right after the draft, everybody's everybody wants something
right.
from the draft. It's just like fans or whatever. Obviously, certain media people around here want the team to look a certain way or whatever. He's obviously got a vision. He's obviously the team has been successful. Yeah, we haven't won the Super Bowl, but we're playing to get to the Super Bowl every year. So, like, what him and McDermott are doing is obviously working. It's just well, McDermott's a whole another issue for a different episode. But yeah, I just thought at that point it was like, let's show a little bit more class here in that aspect of it.
Real quick, so we're almost out of time. But my guest coming up in just a little bit, Zach Ward, he is our entertainment guest for the week. And among other things, Zach is a member of the Believers, which is the Buffalo Bills house band.
Okay.
So for the past 8 years or something like that, every home game Sunday, he's in the stadium playing with a couple other guys. Maybe the coolest job ever.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. That kid that always supplies the balls every game and runs out on the field, grabs the tee and stuff like that.
Right.
I don't know. Like, that's got to be
Some teams have a dog do that, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's got to be a cushy job, though.
Probably didn't make a ton of money, though.
No, but, like, more than likely, though, that kid is probably playing sports in some sort of aspect.
Right.
And and as long as he keeps on doing that, he probably has a job in the front office waiting for him.
And the chicks dig it.
He probably has a job waiting for him with the front office people if he needs it, after college or whatever, or while he's in college to get some money, whatever. So good for him.
All right, dude. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about this week?
No. There's a couple things I can set up for next week.
All right.
Definitely.
All right. So this is Andrew, or Drew, as I refer to him, McGrath. He's going to be our sports guy, and he will be here most weeks, and we'll talk about sports, and we'll talk about some other things too. And there are a whole bunch of other things going on that I would love to talk to you about. But I really just wanted to introduce you to the people as the sports guy. But Andrew lives in the city of Niagara Falls. There's a ton of things going on in the city of Niagara Falls that we could talk about. We have, similar interests in movies and music, and, so you might hear him tell you some stories about me at some point. Just know that they are all lies. That is all he is able to do is lie.
Oh. Okay.
But I really appreciate you being here. And we're going to take a break. We're going to play some music, and when we come back, we're going to have Zach Ward here to finish off the first episode of Here's the Thing with Scott Leffler. I'm Scott Leffler, and he is...
This is Drew.
All right. We'll see you soon.